All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Haven't talked with you for a little while. I've been kind of letting you go through the various small little assignments that we've been working on. And I do want to thank some people in particular for really working hard on these things. Piper, you've done a great job. Who else is on there? Hannah, really good stuff. Moira, you've done a really good job recently. You're handing in all the more recent stuff. There's still a little piece in the middle there. There are a bunch of you as well who still need to kind of get their act together. I was looking at Drake. Thank you for getting stuff done. Yeah, so just keep in mind that there are still a bunch of you that need to complete these small assignments. And the reason that I want to address some of this stuff with regard to what's the point? It kind of seems like these sporadic little small assignments, in the anthropology section and even in the psychology section that we did. Here, let me just turn this light on here. Get rid of some of those shadows out there. Okay. So what I want to kind of try to get you to grasp a bit is that this stuff actually, you can implement this stuff in everyday life. And what that means is that it helps you to understand what's actually going on around you. Because and I want to give you an example of what I mean. So during this time period, we have a lot of extra time in the days or whatever. So I go for a lot of walks. I walk a lot, and but I also like to take pictures, of interesting things. But what I find is that if I'm walking and I'm just kind of letting my mind wander, I don't really notice any much in terms of things to take pictures of or interesting things that are going on, unless they kind of really hit me quickly, and hit me in the face, real obvious. But what I find is that if I kind of flip my mind, and that when I'm walking, I'm holding this sort of, I'm gonna take pictures side with it. There's all of a sudden I can see way more stuff. It's the same stuff I was just walking by, but I didn't notice it because I wasn't thinking about taking pictures. And then all of a sudden, there's these amazing, textures and shapes and all kinds of interesting stuff. So, and it's the same thing with this stuff we're studying, with the psych and the anthropology, and as we get into the sociology piece, it's when you know things, and then you can sort of hold them as you're walking down a street or through the mall or whatever, now or later, all of a sudden things become way more clear because it was always happening. You just didn't really see it because you weren't thinking to look. So when you're talking about things like evolution, and the bird stuff, Darwin's finches and stuff like that. When you actually look at different birds, otherwise they're just birds. Oh, hey, look at all the birds, they're nice, But when you look at the birds and you look at the small little Tweety birds in the trees and stuff, and you actually look at them, you think about evolution and hold that idea, you start to wonder and think about it. I wonder if that's a relative of, or where did that ultimately come from, and what, how did it end up here, and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, it's just a bird, and you don't really think much about it, right? So as we go through all the a lot of other things, we talked about religion stuff, and quickly we talked about what other stuff we talked about. Oh, the nature nurture parts of things. The idea about it. Is it genetic? Is that a genetic trait, or is it something else? Is it something that was created because of the need? Here in where we live, we have a lot of winter, and so the birds can't really stick around here, so they have to have this sort of ability to get out of here. So is that genetic? Is it something that they have just developed from learning? From watching their mom and dad and that kind of stuff, right? So as we talk about globalization, and we're talking about we've done different case studies in India, and you can look around your own area, really. But the point is, as you go through these small assignments, as you become aware of this information, you can now hold it as you travel through the world. And the world takes on a whole other meaning and a level of understanding. Because otherwise you're just sort of drifting through life without really understanding what's going on. And I think, and again, maybe I'm being a bit harsh about this, but I think that's what most people do. They don't really examine their life. They don't examine their role in anything. They just kind of wander through it. And then in the end, like, their understanding of it is so minimal. I mean, their understanding of it is really only with regard to them, because they're not really seeing a lot of other stuff. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to grasp. And we did that a lot when we're talking about psychology, right? When you're walking down a hallway in your school or in a, whatever, when you actually look around, like, it's pretty amazing what you're seeing. There's so many patterns and, and things you can predict just by being aware, and understanding that. And the more that you understand, the more awareness comes. And that's what education is, I think. And not just like school education, but just an education and understanding and paying attention. And I've been saying that to you all semester, like, pay attention. There's a lot of stuff happening out there, but, if you're not really looking, you're not going to see it, right? So that's what I'm asking you to try to do. So when we do, I'd like you to kind of connect and sort of get those assignments done, because that's what they're for. They're not just like do a bunch of stuff. Right, to try and get you to understand more and more and more. And we're going to just to finish off this section. We're going to move into our last little section, sociology. But this is actually for you. Like, this is to help you to understand the way things actually are out there, and force you to sort of examine and work at this stuff and not just drift. Like, drifting produces a lot, a life, and then your understanding of it, do you pass that understanding on? Or do you just sort of drift off into the sunset? I mean, I guess that's part of the question too, I guess. So, all right. So good luck with that. Keep going. And for those of you that are falling behind, come on, get going, right? We need you to get going here. Or where's the camera? Oh, there it is. So in that sec. All right. We need you to get going. And for those that are working on it, good job. And hopefully you're getting lots of exercise and working hard, right? Because it's that's how this goes. All right. Take it easy. Bye.